Hello and welcome. You're watching Best of the Bets. My name's Christina Nicolaides and we're looking at this weekend's football action and we're looking at the Premier League for Saturday. I have our regular guests with me. I have Sam Diamond, who is our football expert and editor of bestofthebets.com, and our bookie extraordinaire, Mr. Gareth Walker. Thankfully, or luckily, I should say, for us, Baby has not made an appearance, so we do have you back on the sofa.
Yeah, I think he's waiting for the football again on Saturday to come along and disrupt my viewing.
We are going to start with QPR versus Manchester United. QPR have only got 2 wins out of 26.
QPR is 7.2, the draw's 4.5, and what I can only assume is going to be the Manchester United reserve team are 1.5 to win this game.
We don't know for definite if it is going to be a reserve team, but having played full-strength sides against Everton and Real Madrid, Alex Ferguson may take this opportunity again to field some of his second string with this game and Norwich before Madrid. So if he does do that, I think to underestimate QPR, he'd do so at his peril, because we've said before, they really seem to raise their game when they come up against the top teams this season. They put in some very dogged defensive performances. They've kept clean sheets in 0-0 draws at home to Chelsea, at home to Man City, at home to Tottenham. With continued sort of doubts over Loic Remy's fitness, where are the goals going to come from QPR? That's a problem. Zamora, we know he can't play 90 minutes, so it looks like it will be Taarabt again on his own up front. And will that be enough to really break United down? Because United can score goals despite these defensive, the solid defence that QPR have against the top teams. I think United have scored at least 3 goals away from home against the bottom 5 of the other teams in the bottom 6. So this is an interesting one to call, and I think it all does depend on team news. I'd probably wait for that before having a bet. If it's a weakened United team, I might look at the big prices about the home win.
QPR do have this great record against the big teams. Manchester United don't do goalless draws. I think you've got to go back to April 2011 for the last one, but I think this could be one. QPR will be more than happy with a point. Last 3 home games have been 0-0. Why not this one? 0-0 is 13. Which is a big enough price, certainly, for me to be happy to go with that.
QPR have had a long rest now. They haven't played a game since they lost at Swansea. United have played 3 times since then. So you'd like to think they've got some fresh legs in there. But they haven't beaten United in 12 meetings, not since that Dennis Bailey hat-trick at Old Trafford in '92. So it is a tall ask. But Gareth makes a convincing argument. Now, at the prices, I'm going to plump for QPR.
I'm going to go 3-0. I'm going to agree with our tweeter, Mr. Thomas Jones, and go for 3-0 win for Man United.
You've been getting some expert advice. 3-0 is 9.3.
We want as many tweets as possible from our viewers. We are also going to go and find out what our guru, the one and only Mike Holden, has to say about this particular game.
I can see great value in the under 2.5 goals market when United travel to QPR on Saturday. I think basically there's going to be a high level of uncertainty avoidance from Sir Alex Ferguson now. 0-0 draws are not bad results, not ideal results, but they're not bad results now, because that cushion is, in their favour, totally in their favour. And as for QPR, well, they've shown that their, intentions against Tottenham and Manchester City were the 2 games that really spring to mind at Loftus Road, both of which finished 0-0. And they were extremely difficult to break down. And I think United will go to Loftus Road, and if they don't get the early goal that they usually crave when they play away from home, then I think they'll be quite happy to play QPR at their own game and play the patient waiting game for that breakthrough. But what is essential is that they don't concede a first goal, that they don't fall behind, and I think that's where all the emphasis will be for United.
The guru's spoken, and he's looking at an odds against shot there. Under 2.5 goals in this game is priced at 2.1.
OK. We are going to move on to our relegation 6-pointer. Reading versus Wigan.
Reading at 2.6, the draw 3.4, and Wigan at 2.8.
Wigan, they've been scoring a lot of goals recently. I think it's their last 9 fixtures now that they've scored in. And I just feel if they click early at the Majeski at the weekend, I could see them really doing some damage, and I like big prices here about a comfortable Wigan win.
Yep. Gareth?
Yeah, there's a couple of interesting stats, really, looking at these 2 teams. Reading every league game that they've had in 2013 has involved both teams scoring. So I like the both teams to score option here, 1.7. The last 8 games that Reading have played in all competitions, they've been the ones scoring the last goal. So is it luck? Are they fitter than everyone else? Are they like on the ball to be attacking at the end? Is there some inner steel there? Is that a factor? So looking at that, you could maybe think, well, maybe Wigan will lead at half-time. Reading will come back and win at full-time. That's 24. Or Lafondra to score the last goal, always a popular selection of mine. That's 5.3 for this one.
Super sub.
The thing is, I mean, I like Wigan, but you have to look at the fact they've only won 1 game in the Premier League since they beat Reading. That's 13 games. They've conceded the most goals in the league. Something is not quite right there. So I can't. I'd have to go with Reading at the prices. 2.6 for a home win would be where I'd be looking for this one.
And Gareth, you've also got a penalty payback promotion. Yeah,
it applies for this game and every other Premier League game all weekend, all 9 of them over Saturday, Sunday and Monday. If there is a penalty awarded in that particular game, then Heaven Better will refund losing correct score and first or last goal scorer bets.
We're going to move on to Arsenal versus Aston Villa. Now, pressure on both managers.
Arsenal 1.3, the draw's 5.6 and Aston Villa are available at 13.3.
This is a hard one to call. Will Arsenal lose a third home game in 7 days? I wouldn't want to be backing them at 1.3.
Yeah.
They've had some big scorelines against teams in the bottom half at home. I'm thinking particularly 6-1 versus Southampton, 7-3 versus Newcastle. I think there'll be goals in this game again, but I think we could well see them at both ends. I think Villa just might have a little spring in their step now that they've broken that run of form with that win. And I'd like to get with them on the Asian handicap, I think.
Yeah, you can back Villa +1 on the Asian handicap and get 2.8. So it basically means if Villa win or it's a draw, then you're a winner. If the game finishes in a 1-0 victory for Arsenal, then you get your stake back. And then see if Arsenal win by 2 or more, the bet's a loser. But I think that's a very shrewd way of playing it.
There's been goals in Villa's recent away games as well. Drew 3-3 with Everton, and I think it was consecutive 2-2 draws with Swansea and West Brom. So I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see them notch a couple of times at the Emirates.
More pressure on Arsenal, I think, than Aston Villa.
So yeah, Villa are an odd team, very low on confidence. Could have beaten Everton away, conceded 2 late goals.
Yeah. Did
beat Liverpool away, so they won't fear anything. It's almost a nothing to lose game. They went to the Emirates 2 seasons ago, right at the end of the season, and nicked a 2-1, which meant that Arsenal only finished 4th. And a repeat of that scoreline is 21. That's a possibility.
We are going to move on to Norwich versus Everton. Now, Norwich haven't won the league since the 15th of December.
Norwich a 3.9 to finally register a win. Draw 3.5 and Everton just a shared odds against at 2.1. You saw Norwich at home firsthand a couple of weeks ago.
I think Norwich are giving the Draw Kings a run for their money. They've drawn their last 3, all against London sides. So they are getting sucked into this relegation dogfight, but they're showing a battling quality. Certainly in these games. It was a draw up at Goodison, 1-1. It was a late Sebastian Basson goal. Everton, it's just their confusing season continues. It's just some days they look like the team, the only team sort of liable to challenge the Manchester clubs at the top, and then they look very ordinary on other occasions. I still think scoring goals is a problem for them.
Yeah.
I think this great run of both teams to score bets that have landed have kind of mastered problems that they do struggle up front. I don't think Nikita Jelavic is the answer. I love him as a player, but I don't think he's a top class Premier League striker, like goal scorer. And
who's going to score for Norwich?
Well, this is it. They brought Luciano Becchio in. He's got to hit the ground running, because otherwise they're relying on Robert Snodgrass and Wes Hoolahan for inspiration. Who's going to score the goals for either team? And I think that's a big question this weekend. So I like 0-0, and I'm going to go with no goal scorer.
No goal scorer, which is 10.
Yeah.
The Everton, both teams to score, stat for the season sits at 20 out of 26 matches. Norwich scored 1 goal in 5 games, not winning 9. Chris Hughton would take a point before kick-off without a doubt. Everton surely have to think of this as a game they have to win. They've got 6 away games left. This is arguably the easiest of the 6 away games they've got left, and it's no easy trip to Carrow Road, as Arsenal and Manchester United have found out this season. So I'm going to go with the default Everton scoreline of winning, which is 2-1, which is available at 8. The 1-1 that they seem very keen on is priced at 6.8. But
I think the draw is a good option when you consider that the teams between them have drawn 22 games this season. So
it's not bad. I think a lot will hinge on whether Everton can finally give Johnny Heitinga a rest and recover some confidence. I think Sylvain Distan's on for 400 Premier League appearances if he plays here, which he should do, which would be the most for any foreign outfield player in the league. So yeah, he could maybe step up and notch the first goal even at a fancy price.
OK, we are going to move on to West Brom versus Sunderland. Sunderland did have a good game against Arsenal despite them losing.
West Brom are 2, the draw's 3.5 and Sunderland are 4.1.
West Brom ended their long, horrible run of form with a quite incredible 2-0 victory at Liverpool, and I think credit to Gareth because he did tip West Brom up for that game. And I think what was so evident in that game was just how impressive Yusuf Malumbu was back in the midfield alongside Claudio Jakob, and that's the partnership they've longed for a long time now. They've got a good opportunity to register another 3 points against Sunderland, who have failed to score on their last 3 trips to the Hawthorns.
Yeah.
I thought the other sort of notable performer in that game at Anfield was Romelu Lukaku off the bench, who he could give Adam Lafondra a run in the Super Sub stakes if he can come on late and use his pace and strength to bully a tired Sunderland defence. He's a good option at 4.8 to score the last goal. But I think West Brom look a good bet here for me.
It's always a tempter when you look at a price of evens and think, well, yeah, that's more likely than either of the other two outcomes.
Yeah.
I'll go with that for the home win. I'd like to think West Brom could win this. To me, there's just these question marks that they have only won once in 2013. The model that they used so successfully to win at Anfield, which was to defend and then basically just launch forward for the last 10 minutes, last 10 minutes, isn't really going to work here. If they just sit back against Sunderland for 75 minutes, I don't think the Hawthorns the crowd will soon not be too impressed with that. This issue of Sunderland tiring, to me, is a factor, and I'm looking at bets where he can take advantage of the fact that O'Neill's got no rotation policy. It's the same 11. They're bound to tire later in the season. Yeah. So if you maybe think Sunderland could nick an early goal and then West Brom come back and win, that's priced at 23. And West Brom are strong at the end of games, certainly stronger than Sunderland. Yeah. So I'd be tempted with that bet, actually.
What's it, Sunderland half-time, West Brom full-time?
Sunderland to lead at half-time and then West Brom to come back and win the match, which is priced at 23. That would be how I'd rather play it rather than taking the two about West Brom.
OK. And the last game that we're looking at for Saturday, Fulham versus Stoke. Stoke got their first win since Boxing Day against Reading. Well,
Fulham are 2.1, the draw's 3.4, Stoke are 3.7.
It is a questionable early kickoff from Sky.
I've got a dentist appointment that I've offered to swap with, and you're quite
I've
tempted,
got a ticket for this game, and even I'm not looking forward to it. And I think there is a sort of a side issue here with early games, Saturday and Sunday games. The atmosphere is often quite flat anyway. You usually need something to happen on the pitch to really pick the crowd up. I'm just not sure it's necessarily going to happen. I think this could be quite a dull afternoon. I expect Fulham to nick it. 7 of 9 of these meetings between the two in the Premier League has seen one or both teams not scoring, and that's going to be my bet this weekend again.
Yeah, it's a decent price. It's 1.9. So yeah, if either team or both teams keep a clean sheet, one or both teams not to score is priced at 1.9, which is tempting. You look at Stoke; they've only won once away all season. Only scored 8.
Not going to be many goals. I think Fulham will nick it 1-0.
That's what I'd go for, 1-0.
I'll both going for that, which is priced at 6.5. I'll go for a draw, 3.4 is my bet for this one.
OK, so best bet for Saturday, Sam.
Well, it's liable to blow up in my face, but I'm going to go for the big prices about QPR beating Manchester United at 7.2.
You let me down, Sam. Gareth.
Well, I'm going to go for an even bigger price, actually. I'm going to take a punt on Aston Villa at 11.3, crying out to be taken on, an 11.3 about a Villa side that have shown they can perform away in these big games is too big to ignore. OK,
and my best bet for Saturday has to be Man United to beat QPR 3-0.
3-0, which is priced at 9.3.
OK. Well, that's it for part 1. Join us after the break where we look at the Capital One Cup final, Sunday's action and the European Games. For you to place your bets, it is www.heavenbet.com. Do tweet us at Best of the Bets, and you can watch this show back on bestofthebets.com. See you after the break.
betting site from Poker Heaven.